So what we have here is just a slat pallet, and these you can pick up from Walmart. They're just wood, and they're very inexpensive, maybe $8 to $10 depending on the type you get. They do have ones with the whitewash finish, they have ones with a charcoal color, and they also have stained wood as well. But we don't need any of those today, just the regular pine works fine because we are going to spray paint it. So I painted this beautiful moss green color, and I was thinking about coming back in with acrylic, and you most certainly can, but I really do love that color. So this is how the door is going to be facing. We do have an 18-inch grapevine that we're going to secure this to. And I'm going to use these burlap colored ones. That way they don't showcase too much against all of the natural tones we have going on. So I'm going to take our staple gun and staple 3/4-inch staples, and we'll just twist it secure around it. So we did that to one side. We got to do the same thing to the other. Now we can come back in to our 18-inch grapevine. So I love the grapevines we carry because they're all nice and flat and perfect for projects like this. So we're going to take this sign and actually secure it behind the wreath. Typically we secure it to the front. Not today because we want this to appear as a door, and we want it to appear as a circular door more than anything. So we'll secure it right like that. And at the same time, you can remove the pipe cleaners after you make sure you've twisted it at least 4 or 5 times. And now we have a faux door behind a grapevine wreath. Now we have this beautiful fern bush, and I think the fern is going to be the perfect match for that cottage-themed wreath. So what we're going to do is we're going to snip off each individual fern frond like so, every single piece, and we're going to work it around the wreath. So this wreath is going to be very different from the other styles that we design, because we're using very simplistic products. We're using just a little bit of greenery in different styles and colors, and we're securing a wood slat to the back of the wreath. So it is very different from our norm. Now that our fern is all cut off the bush, we can dip it in our glue skillet. The glue skillet is one of my all-time favorite tools, and I feel as though every time we design with Hometalk, it's a question that we get asked more than any other question is, what is that device? So what it is essentially just a big crock pot full of glue. And it's not a necessity if you're not doing a lot of designs, but if you are a crafter or like to do, any kind of designing, it is a very helpful tool because you're able to secure things without having to lift up your glue gun. And I don't know about you guys, but glue guns, and I feel like there's 2 pieces stuck on that, but it might just be one. But glue guns are a nuisance. I feel like mine always gets clogged and it always gets full of debris, which the glue skillet does as well, but it's just easier to actually work it in. So we're going to take these. Notice what I'm doing too is I'm kind of bending them slightly so they have a little bit more of a curve. That way when we work them in, they're going with the curve of the wreath. And don't be afraid of sticking some towards the middle. We want the illusion that this is just one giant door. And like I said earlier, a circular door. That's what, fairy gardens have. That's what Hobbit-themed decor has. And I think it just creates a really cool woodsy effect in doing so. So make sure to take some of those and work them towards the middle. All right, first layer of greenery is done. And I love the texture of that, but we're going to come back in with a different color and texture. So this is our coleus bush. So what we're going to do with these is the same process. Just snip off each individual spray, and then we'll work it in. So same process, work them in. My biggest tip when designing, even though this is a different style wreath, the process is the same. So if you've watched me here on Hometalk or Nick's Seasonal Decor in the past, you might have heard me say work products in the same direction, especially if you're designing a wreath like this where it's completely full of greenery and flowers. So if you're only doing a half wreath like we've done in the past, you don't have to follow that rule as precisely. But for a style like this, I like to make sure at least that everything is going in the same motion, because what that does is in the end, it creates that flow, it creates that precision, and it keeps things from looking too cluttered and too busy, having things go every which way. So we have a few more pieces of this coleus, and look at that color against the moss green backing and the ferns. It's perfect. And our final piece we'll place up top. So I have a few pieces of this fern left. This was left over from another project, and you already know, if you watch my other videos, that I'm a firm believer in putting everything to use, and I love using leftovers. So if I have a little bit of anything left over, you'll often see me work it into whatever project I'm working on the next day. So let's take some of these ferns. This is a little bit more of a whitewash fern, and we have these in stock as well, and this is going to add a nice contrast to everything we've worked in. So as you can see, not many pieces of it, but that is totally fine. It's just going to add a little bit more texture and not really change the concept of the wreath. So just taking them, working them at random, not focusing any real attention on exact placement. Couple more pieces left. So now, if you have a wood slat or the plaque that we have behind it, if it's too large, by taking your greenery and extending it past, it'll remove that squareness of the back of the frame. So, if you have your board a little bit big, which in today's case was the situation, you can't see it in the end anyway, so it's not really a huge deal. So now we have one final piece, and I'll just place that up top. So now what we can do, now that our wreath is done, we got to enhance it and turn this slat into a door, right? So I picked up these poles from Walmart. They had doorknobs as well. The doorknobs were like 26 bucks because they came in a pack of 12 or so. These were about $8, and I thought that would look cute. However, Alex, who was up here, was looking at my table behind me, and she thought this would be the perfect match. So this is going to be a temporary, fit before I head to Home Depot or Lowe's to find an actual little doorknob. But I think this is perfect. So I got to add this back before my dad sees that I removed it. But this has a little hole in the back. I'm wondering if I can just poke it in. We might have to shave a little bit off the sides, or what we can do too is just hot glue it. But let's see if we add a little force, what that'll do. Let's try a little hot glue. So I'm going to take a scrap stem and see if we can do this without damaging my little doorknob. So the hot glue is going to be fine for a little while. If you place this wreath outdoors, you're definitely going to want to secure it a little bit more, whether that be with some cold glue or another product. So I'm going to hold this in place and let that dry. So the glue is hardened and that is fixed in position. I wouldn't trust that forever, but if you place this inside, that's going to stay exactly where it is. And you can find more inexpensive doorknobs at stores like Home Depot, Lowe's. You can also order them online. But to make this a little bit more kind of natural and woodsy, I'm just taking a little bit of moss and I'm just going to glue it right to the slats. It's not going to require much, and that's just going to add a little bit more of a natural touch. So we'll do that here as well. And we'll do it one or two more times just to really bring out that woodsy effect. So we'll do it right here as well. It doesn't have to be in between the slats. And a little bit more. And here is our finished cottage-themed wreath, and I think this turned out so cool. I love that the greenery is not perfect. I love that it's kind of wispy and wild. It really created such a natural effect. And I love that the pallet we picked up from Walmart looks like a door, right? It looks like a round door. So we use an 18-inch grapevine. We also have 14-inch grapevines, ovals, rectangular forms, square forms, so you can really turn these into any shape that you're looking for. And what I think a cool idea would be is to actually take this and put it on a tree outside at the base and turn it into like a little fairy home. So we worked in a coleus and two types of fern, one of which we only had a few pieces left over, and I think that was the perfect touch. And the grand finale is that little touch of moss on the door to create that aged effect. So thank you all so very much for watching. This is Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk. Bye, everyone.